Alright guys, it's absolutely boiling in the UK, so I thought I would basically just make a video about Liverpool and Man City in the title race this season. I have no idea how that has anything to do with it being boiling, but I guess it's too hot to do anything and I need something to do on this Friday night. So, I mean, we'll talk about the first game of the season. Man City made easy work of West Ham, beat them 2-0, and yeah, made it look fairly easy. Whereas Liverpool stumbled at Craven Cottage, having to come back from a goal down twice and eventually settle for a 2-2 draw against Fulham. And yeah, that's not a great start for Liverpool, and for Man City, that is this basically the start of dreams, especially with Erling Haaland getting on the score sheet twice. Now, right, so Man City, obviously, in this whole rivalry between Guardiola and Klopp, they've been the dominant of the two. They've won out of the 5 seasons that they've supposedly been competing with each other. I say supposedly because two of the seasons, I think that City won the league. Liverpool weren't really competing. Liverpool were really more competing for top four, and that is the 17-18 and 2021 seasons. Whereas the 3 seasons Liverpool and City have properly gone for a title race in this Guardiola and Klopp era are the 2018-19 season, which City won, the 19-20 season, which Liverpool won, and the 21-22 season just gone that City won. So in terms of that, it's effectively in title race terms, it's 2-1 to Guardiola. So City are the more dominant of the two sides. Let's get that out of the way first. City this summer has been the first time, I think, in this era at Manchester City, and I'm talking 15 years here, like since the takeover, that they have made a significant income as well as outgoing in terms of financial like ways. I forgot the word there. They've sold a lot. They've got rid of Zinchenko, Sterling, Jesus, Bazunu, Lavia, and a few others for a fair bit of Wonga. They've also brought in a few players: Calvin Phillips, Erling Haaland, and Julian Alvarez, the main few. There's also rumours about a left back coming in, and yeah, so it doesn't look like they might have finished yet. Whereas Liverpool, there's been a few significant outgoings: Sadio Mane, Divock Origi, Takumi Minamino, amongst a few others as well. Whereas the incomings have been 2 young players in Fabio Carvalho and Calvin Ramsey. Ramsey, I think, is going to get limited game time this season, and Carvalho's certainly not going to be a starter this year, I don't think. Whereas Nunez is the big transfer of the summer and has started off well at Liverpool. He scored 2 goals in 2 substitute appearances, might I add, which is quite impressive, and made a massive impact in both games he played in. So in terms of like these two teams going against each other for the title, right? Now, what we've seen over the years is City are more consistent than Liverpool at dealing with pressure, I would say. So when City are ahead in the title race and when they are more looking like they're more likely to win it, which they already are because they're on 3 points, Liverpool are on 1 point this season, City tend to not look so vulnerable of dropping points, whereas Liverpool, we've seen in the past, have gone above City in the title race and have managed to drop points. The best example of that I can think of is the 2018-19 season, in which Liverpool, I think at Christmas, were around 7 points ahead of City with the game in hand. I think a lot of people do forget that. However, Liverpool then had some shocking results. Well, I say shocking, that not shocking, but not good enough results. We'll use a draw at home to a Leicester side who were quite average that season. A draw away to West Ham, who again were struggling a bit that season, and a draw away to Everton, as well as Man United, who again both were having fairly poor seasons, and that's eventually allowed City to catch up with Liverpool after having a few poor results of their own to, I believe, Crystal Palace and also Leicester as well around the Christmas period. Maybe even, yeah, they lost to Newcastle as well in January. But the thing is, Liverpool didn't capitalise on these mistakes from Man City. They allowed Man City to get back into it, which they shouldn't have done. So yeah, I think City are definitely the team who perform better under pressure. But what you could argue is going to go Liverpool's way isn't, for once, it now looks like the squad depth might actually be in Liverpool's favour, because if you look at City's squad depth at the moment, you've got, so in centre back positions, it's similar. Both have got about 4 good options, like as in like quality players. City have got Diaz, Laporte, Stones, and Nathan Ake, whereas Liverpool have got Van Dijk, Gomez, Matic, Konate. 4 good options. Fullbacks, Tsimikas, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, and well, Liverpool have got rid of Nico Williams. Joe Gomez can also play right back, and also Calvin Ramsey coming in. So a few options as backup for Liverpool. James Milner can also slot in there as well. City have got Cancelo, Kyle Walker. They've got rid of Zinchenko, but again, they've got players who can slot into these roles. Cancelo can play either side, and also they've got Nathan Ake and Aymeric Laporte who can play left back as well. John Stones also played a lot at right back towards the back end of last season. So fullbacks both haven't got loads of depth, but have got an option at least. In midfield, City have got Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva. So that, and Phil Foden, Grealish can sort of play a role if you're pushing it there. Calvin Phillips as well, I'm forgetting. So they've got a lot of options. Same with Liverpool. I don't even need to go through it. Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson, Milner, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Navigator. The list goes on. Oxlade-Chamberlain when he comes back from injury. And we all know about the forward line. Mahrez, Haaland, Foden, Grealish. Who else? Alvarez. So they've got options. Liverpool, Nunez, Salah, Firmino, Jota. I was going to say Mane, but it's not. Diaz. So both have got a lot of depth, whereas in the past it has been City who have had the better depth, whereas now I think it probably edges slightly towards Liverpool, if anything. So that could play into Liverpool's favour, because there have been times over the past few years where Liverpool have just looked absolutely knackered. And also, Liverpool this season aren't expected to go in as far in the cup competitions as they did last year, because it's very rare their team wins both the FA Cup and the League Cup. The only time I can actually think of that happening, other than Liverpool last season, was, I remember Arsenal did it once, but I don't remember, but I know that Arsenal did it once in the 90s. I wasn't alive then. I was born in 2003, although I sound like I was born in about 1957, I know. But yeah, so I'm going to make my final prediction. I'm going to predict Man City, purely because I think this whole thing about can Erling Haaland do it in England, I think it is an absolute load of rubbish. I think Haaland has potential, if he stays at Man City, to break 2 Alan Shearer records if he stays for Man City for like a long time. I'm talking a decade here. I think he could potentially break Alan Shearer's total goal scoring record, 260 goals. I also think he can break Alan Shearer's Premier League single season goal scoring record of, I think he got 35 in one season whilst he was at Blackburn, which isn't the official record because obviously I think it was a 42 game season back then, so 4 games more, which obviously makes a difference. So officially Mo Salah's record is 32, and that is the well-known Premier League record, but it wouldn't surprise me if Haaland gets more than 35 in one season with the less amount of games played. I just believe he's that good, and he is like a machine. Like I think he is probably the closest thing in the Premier League we're gonna see to Thierry Henry again. Because let's face it, Thierry Henry is the greatest Premier League player of all time right now. But I think Haaland, if he stays fit, if he stays at Man City, could potentially push him. So yeah, I think Man City will win the league purely because of that added advantage of having a number 9 this season, which they did not have last season. They had Gabriel Jesus, but Jesus he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, if that makes sense. He's a number 9 who likes to drift out wide, and he's more of a link-up player. Whereas Haaland, with De Bruyne behind him, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, out wide, Foden, Grealish, like just giving him all this like service and support, he's gonna. I think if he stays fit and Pep Guardiola doesn't rest him like ridiculous amounts, he will score ridiculous amounts of goals. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.